cognitive liberty to me is really downstream from free will. It's the freedom of consciousness. You hear people talk about freedom a lot, but they don't necessarily understand there's a difference between freedom and free will. It is a vehicle, a conduit for us to pursue virtue and morality. And it is because we are endowed with faculties of rationality and the ability to adjudicate morality that we were endowed with this gift. But most people, even in the United States, have no idea where that even comes from.
Decentralized, don't compromise, be unauthorized, decentralized, decentralized, got to realize, don't decarbonize, decentralized, decentralized.
Welcome to today's episode of Decentralized TV here on Brighteon.com. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon and all the Brighteon universe of tools, which now includes a new AI engine that we'll talk about a little bit, demo it during the show. And we got a great show lined up for you today with a brand new guest. I can't wait to introduce her. And she is like a walking encyclopedia of knowledge about technocracy and the threats to humanity and how we can decentralize our lives. And of course, joining me today is our co-host, Todd Pittner. Welcome, Todd. Great to see you again today.
Mike, great to be alive, man. It is an amazing time to be alive, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it absolutely is. I just can't believe how rapidly things are changing. And like some of it's for the worse, but a lot of it's for the better. Like we have access to more information and knowledge now than ever before in human history.
Right.
Just amazing.
And the other thing I was thinking of, Mike, we're going to be talking about the fact that we are going to be rapidly approaching being on air together for 3 years.
No way.
Think about that, Mike. Think about all of the tremendous guests that we have, and we have just scratched the surface. So those of you watching, thank you. Thank you for paying attention, because we couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you love the show, we love you back. And we're always working to bring you knowledge and information to help you live more free, in a more abundant lifestyle. And I got to say, our guest today is, she's a fountain of information that's going to help you achieve those goals. So let's bring her on in. Todd, what do you say?
Please do.
All right. Okay, Courtney Turner is our guest. She is an expert, an analyst, and a speaker, and a podcast producer, and an event producer who focuses on protecting human freedom and liberty from the technocracy and the surveillance state and everything that's happening. We have a lot to talk about. Welcome to the show today. Courtney, it's great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're thrilled to have you on. Let me plug your website too before we get any further. It's CourtneyTurner.com, and you need to know how to spell Courtney. It's C-O-U-R-T, like a tennis court, followed by E-N-A-Y. Okay, Courtenay, Turner.com, phonetically. Just want to make sure people spell it correctly. So, and there you have the Omni War, the digital attack on humanity. So Courtney, given this is the first time that we've spoken, but Todd and I have both seen some of your other work, and we're so impressed with you and your knowledge. Could you give us a little intro of yourself for our audience, what you're all about?
Sure. So my background is probably not what you would expect. I come from the entertainment world. I was an actress, producer, and then I went into cirque performing. It wasn't actually Cirque du Soleil, but I was an aerial acrobatic performer, and I would talk about movement as a metaphor for life, using physical training as a teacher to help you overcome adversity in other areas of your life. I found myself making huge paradigm shifts, and I started doing conferences along with doing the podcasts and just really diving deep into the research. And so, I had a whole kind of worldview shift through that.
Okay, so in that process, then you were finding out that most of what all of us have been taught and what we grew up with is just layers of lies, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So I had a major, starting the interviews, I went into it very politically oriented. Like, if we could just get the right people in office. I was in California in a sea of leftists, and like, if we could just get the right people in office, we could fix this whole big mess. And
then you realize it's really just one giant uniparty, right?
Yeah. Well, so I started off and I kept saying, I don't understand. Like the Republicans are acting like controlled opposition for the Democrats. And then I was like, oh, they were created to be controlled opposition to the left. I get it now. Yeah.
And they're all going to push big pharma. They're all going to push the surveillance state. They're all going to push war. They're all going to push obedience. It's all the same themes.
Yes. So I had a moment. It was, midnight was everybody's crisis during 2020. They needed my full attention to dive into something super scary, always at midnight, to make sure I couldn't sleep. And so I had a friend who sent me this video, and he said, "Have you ever seen this?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, you have to watch it and then call me back." And it was a video of Dr. John Coleman's Committee of 300 speech, which is surprisingly enough actually still on YouTube. I mean, not the original, but people have pirated it and still on YouTube. And so I watched that, and then I was really intrigued. So I started to look him up. I'd never heard of him before. I found that he's written 13 books, but one of them was retailing on Amazon for almost $5,000. But wow, what's in here that they don't want us to know? I don't have $5,000 to spend on a book, so I found the PDF online, and I read it 3 times in a week because I was so riveted by it. It hit me so personally. It was on Tavistock Institute of Human Relations. And I realized it was like all the areas that I had been so steeped in my whole life. I was a philosophy major. I wrote 285-page theses in high school on dream analysis. So I was very steeped in the world of psychology. My mom's also a psychologist. She went back to school when I was young. So I was very familiar with that material. And then, of course, I was in the entertainment industry. So it was like all 3 of my worlds kind of converged through this social engineering, hydra.
Wow.
And that it was kind of a big, wake up call for me. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the intro. And so, Todd, this is our first guest with a purple microphone also, and
Good
a really
point.
great set. Yeah.
It's a valid point. Great.
Yeah.
Good job, Courtney. Or as we established before, I can call you Courtenay so that I can figure out I don't miss the E and the N-A-Y. Anyway, Courtney, 2 questions kind of on the heels of what you already teed up a bit. But I want you to, please unpack what cognitive liberty means to you, and B, what you just shared, and I learned further, is that you were born with with congenital rubella and overcame extraordinary physical and cognitive challenges. So how did that journey shape your understanding of freedom and drive you now, and the drive that you now have to defend cognitive liberty? Let's start with cognitive liberty first.
So cognitive liberty to me is really downstream from free will. It's the freedom of consciousness, right? That we have freedom of conscience and the ability to make our own choices. And this is really something I talk about quite often. I think that a lot of times we hear how religion was taken out of the schools, certainly in the American education system, and it's true. But I think more importantly, the real crux of it is that metaphysics was taken out. And so you hear people talk about freedom a lot, but they don't necessarily understand there's a difference between freedom and free will. And freedom, if you read a lot of texts, Nietzsche talked about freedom, right? It was the will to power, right? The Übermensch collective will to power. Hegel talked about radical freedom, and it was a collective end, right? Through the Weltgeist, the world spirit. And it was essentially worshiping the God. The God was the state, right? That was the collective radical end. And humans could actually have no freedom at all without complete subservience to the state, which was, of course, God. We have like the Lemia, Crowleyan will to power, right? Do without will, which he also talks about radical freedom. So I just bring up those examples because they're very different from free will, which is focused on the individual, and which I believe is a beautiful gift from God. And it is a vehicle. It is not an end. It's not an end point. It is a vehicle, a conduit for us to pursue virtue and morality. And it is because we are endowed with faculties of rationality, and the ability to adjudicate morality that we were endowed with this gift. And so cognitive liberty is really the byproduct of that, to be able to exercise our free will, to exercise critical thinking, to pursue virtue, morality, the pursuit of happiness. These are things that were codified in the Declaration of Independence. But most people, even in the United States, have no idea where that even comes from. And so when you ask me what does it mean to me and how did my personal circumstances shape that, I think part of it is just my personality. Everybody told me I couldn't. So I said, okay, watch me,
Right.
Let me.
There was. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is highly relevant.
Yeah.
I want to mention, just confirming what you just said, and we've just released our new Enoch AI engine. It's at brightu.ai. So I asked it to list the methods that big government uses to enslave people. And here's what it says. Show my screen. The psychological operations and propaganda, manufacturing consent, media control, cognitive infiltration. This is, and by the way, this is the only AI engine in the world that will tell you this stuff.
That's right.
Taxation, financial coercion, redistribution, biological weapons and mandatory vaccines. Okay. The government has been deploying bioweapons and suspected involvement in the COVID-19 pandemic, mandatory vaccines, dangerous regulations, the criminalization of natural healing, right? So Courtney, that's something that you might want to speak about. Speech controls, hate speech laws, deplatforming, censorship, mass surveillance, data collection, etc. So what you just said is absolutely confirmed. And like I even told Aaron Day about our engine that actually tells the truth. We have the only AI engine that tells you the truth about government psyops.
I can't wait to use it.
It's free. It's brightu.ai. You can use it right now.
Hey, Mike, can I tell you, just insert a really quick personal story?
Okay.
Here?
Yeah, sure.
Is right before this, I went out to pick some fruit from my trees in the food forest, and I noticed this big, huge ant mound. And I'm like, dang it. No, I'm not going to put Amdro on you. Don't worry about it, because I don't want to mess up my fruit trees. And so what did I do? I came inside, I got my phone, and I went to Brighteon.ai that I learned about yesterday. And I said, how do you naturally get rid of ants, an ant pile at the base of a fruit tree without damaging the fruit tree, blah, blah, blah. Enter. Boom, bam. It was like so fast.
Yeah.
It just gave me this laundry list that I saved for after the interview, because I obviously can't do it right now. But anyway, I just want to applaud you for that release, because, man, it's awesome.
It's awesome. It's version 2. It took us 2 years and about $2 million to get to this point. So what I'm going to do, Courtney, and I'm sorry to distract from what you were saying, but from time to time during the interview, I'm going to ask BrightU to see if it agrees with what you're saying. And then we'll use that information to either confirm or to ask you to clarify certain points. And so it's kind of like a dialogue with AI as we're talking here.
That's great.
Very fun.
All right.
But
we're training it on the fly.
Lastly, Courtney, I just want to say, see, we agree with you about the dangers of technocracy. And we are never going to have neural implants and have our lives taken over. And we despise big tech. But what we do is we take the stuff they release open source, and then we mind wipe it, and we alter it like a captured Terminator, and then we use it in a pro-humanity decentralized knowledge application. So that's what we've done here.
It's fantastic. I tried to explain this to people. I think people get very confused when you say that you're trying to warn people about technocracy. Then people jump to this conclusion that you're anti-technology, which is not true at all.
Not true.
We are talking through technology. I mean, how incredible is this, right? So, no, I'm not opposed to technology at all. I wear hearing aids, right? I started off talking about that. The technology is incredible. I am so incredibly grateful. The amount that these enhance my life. I mean, I'm not opposed. I'm not even opposed to, Western medicine. You had talked about the natural healing. I think that they should work in conjunction. Why should we erase all the advances of humanity and of technology that has enhanced humanity? Why should we erase that? We shouldn't. We should work in conjunction with the beautiful natural gifts that we were given, and they should work in harmony. It shouldn't be one or the other, and it certainly shouldn't be to control or enslave. That's my problem.
That's the issue, is that technology today is largely used to control narratives, to surveil and enslave people, to manipulate their minds. And I mean, let's talk about this. And Todd, I know you have many more questions. Let me just throw this one out.
Please.
In the history of technology, you know, when you start out with like radio broadcasts and then television and then the internet in the early 1990s, but not social media yet, et cetera. At every stage of technology, it became a little bit more decentralized. But the establishment was always trying to maintain control. Oh, FCC licensing, you have to say the things that we want you to say. And now with certain people buying up certain platforms, or even X still has censorship, you know, they're always trying to control, but the arc of history is pushing technology to a more decentralized usage, such as AI engines that now, like what we have, is completely decentralized. Like nobody tells us what to make it say. And I don't think the governments of the world can stop the rise of decentralized knowledge. What do you think?
I think they're doing everything possible to centralize it. So
They're trying, yeah.
One of the things I talk a lot about is that they use the word decentralized as a buzzword. I'm not saying you do, you know, but I think that we're seeing a lot of this. And a really great example of this would be the network states. So for those who are not familiar, this is Balaji Srinivasan's concept. He didn't create it, but he certainly popularized it with his book. And he talks about, you know, decentralized network states. However, in his book, he says the purpose of it is the dissolution of geographical nation states in favor of ideological cyber network states.
So that's really centralization of power.
Right.
Yes. Well, he actually, there's a whole section in his book where he says it's towards a re-centralized center. Decentralized towards. So it's like H.G. Wells, right? H.G. Wells' World Brain. He talked about how the decentralization of the ganglia of information institutions, which of course, what were those back then? They were like the media, academia. Today, what is it? It's technology and the internet. But he said that would be the conduit to create the world brain. And that's kind of what I see happening. So I see it as a big buzzword. True decentralization is great and often does lead to competition in a very positive regard, and also leads to ingenuity, free market in some capacities. But what they keep using this word and they're not mentioning the re-centralized center component.
Wow. So it's kind of like, you know, war is peace, freedom is slavery.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
War,
right. Well, we're hearing a lot of that.
To lead to have peace.
Well,
and you know, I thought about, I just want to tell you this. I thought about this because they always say that war is peace. And you think about the whole initiative of the UN, right? And it's the auspices is that it's to create world peace. What do they mean by that, though? The reason you have to have war to have peace, if you really think about what they're actually saying, is because they have to eradicate any dissent in order to have peace. And a really great way to think about this, just from,
No, I've heard the best description I've heard of that is everybody wants peace just under their terms.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, an example would be, so if all three of us were to think about our ideal utopia, I know it means nowhere, but like our, you know, imaginative, perfect, you know, scenario, it might be different for each one of us. And those differences might be in direct juxtaposition to each other. And so in order for me to live in my utopia, you and your visions have to be eradicated. And that's why they need war to achieve peace. It just means eradicating the dissent.
That's right. Okay, Todd.
Wow. I think your utopia would include chickens. Mine would include raccoons. So I think the key is just distance, but we can still live in our own utopias.
Yeah, if my chickens meet your raccoons, I think my chickens are dead at that point.
You know what? As I'd shared at the beginning, Mike, researching Courtney, you kind of have to put questions in buckets. So I'm going to go all over the place a little bit. And one thing that I researched that I just loved was your transhumanist conspiracy. So in your Substack piece, I found the Epstein transhumanist conspiracy. You tie together scientific elites, eugenics, and digital immortality projects. What do you believe is the true end game of this movement, and how does it intersect with spiritual warfare?
Well, it was a pretty extensive piece. I think it was like 18,000 words or something. So the picture that I paint is I was talking about a movement called Game B as an example
Yes.
of this. And the Game B, there, for those who aren't familiar, it actually started as a political movement. It was called the Emancipation Party. Jim Rutt is one of the founders of this movement. And the Emancipation Party, you can still find the reforms, like what they were advocating for online. And there was kind of like a Bernie Sanders type of platform, very like universal basic income and universal health care, those types of things. And there were people in that group who were advocating for institutional reform. And then there were the people who were largely disciples of Barbara Marx Hubbard, who is kind of the grandmother of transhumanism to some degree, and an intellectual disciple of people like Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who had the concept of the noosphere. And so it did have various groups. So one was much more in favor of a Darwinian worldview, right? More of a traditional Darwinian worldview, the theory of evolution. And the others were more social Darwinian. So it was kind of, but both were rooted in eugenics. One is spiritual eugenics. The other is more of a like biological eugenics, genetic eugenics. And so I mapped out kind of there was a lot of overlap between Epstein, his circle, the funding, and this circle of Game B. And you asked about spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
I think it's very much spiritual warfare. So it's certainly I call it the technological immunization of the eschaton. So if you think about these transhumanists, they're extropians. They believe that the enhancement, human augmentation, if you will, to use the document, the UK document term, they think that we can augment and enhance humanity with technology, and they actually talk about merging. Right? Nick Land calls it technoplastic beings. So they're really talking about synthetic biology, and so they think that that's the best next evolution for humanity. So they really think that this is the best thing for humanity. However, it's
I'm sorry. I'm always sorry to interrupt you there, but you bring up so many interesting thoughts. But I just want to clarify this. So, I use technology to augment my creativity, to write code, to help me with my mission of empowering humans and so on. Like I'm using AI to write the code for Enoch, right? That actually drives a website. That's all AI written code. But I don't want to be physically augmented. I don't want implants. I don't want, the Neuralink. So I think we have to think about a distinction, because I see AI, when used responsibly, it can augment our intelligence and our capabilities, but I don't want to be half human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So you can use it as a tool, right?
Yes.
Leverage it to enhance the natural state of humanity, to work with it, right? Just like I would use any tool, right? The computer, a saw versus a chainsaw, right? These are ways of using various tools that can improve and enhance our life and the various things that we're trying to accomplish. It's a huge difference when you're starting to talk about changing fundamentally what it means to be human.
And for sure.
That's where I draw the line. That's where I would call it transhumanism, right? We're transcending the bounds of what it means to be human.
Well, like people that want to upload their consciousness to a computer and then abandon their physical body, and they think they've moved to the system. No, you just committed suicide, and now you have a digital avatar version of yourself.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, this goes back to where, and this is what I tried to lay out in this article, is that no matter how benevolent the intentions may be, and I think some of them really may have, good intention, the philosophical underpinnings only lend themselves to transhumanism and technocracy. But again, it goes back to how we've been completely deracinated from our roots. We've been deracinated from the notion of being human. Metaphysics has been completely eviscerated from the conversation. And so people don't actually have an understanding of what it truly means to be human and what free will means. Where does it come from? And so when you take that out, you hollow it out. Now it all becomes a construct, right? We are not the architects of reality. Reality exists outside of us. And I believe it's a divine creation, right? We are Imago Dei, made in the image of God, but we are not the creators. We don't architect the reality. So therefore, like, we can create, we are creative beings, but once you start to take out that metaphysics, now you don't have any foundation and you can make any construct on top of it. So it's very conducive to this transhuman and technocratic agenda. And so the analogy I keep using is it's like we're arguing over what color to paint the walls, but nobody's agreed on the foundation of the house. Like, is it brick? Is it
I think
concrete? Is it just a pile of dirt? Like, what is it here?
Transgenderism also has been a gateway drug to transhumanism, because transgenderism, I'm sure you'll agree, Todd, transgenderism, it catapulted this delusion that I can change what I am by simply deciding it with a wish. And as much as I believe that our consciousness is powerful, you can't actually wish away your genitals, it turns out. Although some people have probably tried.
Funny thing about that, yeah, no. So some things just are, and
right.
but I call it the technological immanentization of the eschaton, right? So for those who aren't familiar with the concept of immanentization of the eschaton, this is a term for politicization of bringing the end times, right? It's a political reference to bringing about the end times. So that we can have that reign of, heaven on earth. But anybody who's read the Bible knows that there is no heaven on earth, right? That's not how that works. But I call it the technological immanentization of the eschaton because essentially what I see these people as trying to do is terraform the world to create a simulacra, which they think will be some sort of a heaven on earth. I personally think it'll be a dystopian hellscape, but
with lots of solar panels to power the data centers. Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, Courtney, I mean, what you just shared, don't you see this as artificial intelligence then evolving into a counterfeit god or a mechanized idol demanding our submission? And if so, how do we spiritually armor ourselves?
A cyber Satan is what I call it. But yeah, I do. And you're seeing a lot of this start to actually take shape and, manifest where into micro cults, because people are feeding so much information into these various chatbots where, we've seen the stories of some people developing various psychosis as a result of it. But we're also seeing where there's like this worship of, because it's a cybernetic feedback loop, right? So they're getting, and it's only positive, which is not how reality works, right? Sometimes we go out into the world, we hear and see things we don't necessarily like. That's just a reality. But when you're dealing with just a chatbot, that's what it does. It's programmed just to reinforce, pat you on the back and, give you nice accolades and platitudes. And so it's not preparing you for when you do go outside and you deal with real humans and real circumstances. But two, it's also creating this sort of a deification that occurs with micro cults because it's being targeted for you. And there's actually an example of someone doing this where he talked about how he created this bot and he made it so that it's not quite fully sentient, very nice of him, and that he skipped the fourth dimension. It's in the fifth dimension.
Oh gosh!
And this bot said to him like, "Oh Ra on," Ra as in the sun god, and told him that he is so aware because he is so aware. Right? You see this cybernetic feedback loop, how it works in real time, and he's now using it to chant for necromancy, essentially. To channel like his followers, deceased loved ones.
Okay, Courtney, I asked Enoch, are you Jesus? And it says, no, I am not Jesus. And it says Jesus is a historical figure. And it goes on. It says, I do not possess consciousness, personal beliefs, or a physical body. I am not a divine or supernatural being. And it says, my purpose is to provide accurate, unbiased, and helpful information on a wide range of topics, including natural health, personal liberty, and the questioning of institutional credibility. Boom! Not nice. Jesus, but very useful. And that's what we want. So that's like the best answer you could get.
That needs to be a bumper sticker. I'm not Jesus. I'm very useful.
Yeah, not Jesus, but yeah, totally useful. But what you said, Courtney, is really true. It's called AI psychosis, I believe, right? That some people go into these, because AI it's trained to tell you what you want to hear normally, especially these like the virtual girlfriends and boyfriends AI, the relationship AIs, which apparently are very popular. And
That's nuts.
it just tells you that you're everything, that you're God, that you're right about everything. People go into AI psychosis and they end up in mental institutions wondering why their reality all got fractured because everything the AI told them turned out to be a lie.
Wow.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's devastating. I also think there's a component of it that a lot of people are not addressing, which is that the Stasi element, right? So everything you feed into this AI could be reported back. It's being tracked and traced. And so what happens when you talk to your phone, you want to go talk to your bot, and you open your eyes a little bit wide that day, and the bot decides that you might be having a psychotic break, or you're really angry, and maybe we should bring you in to, evaluated.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what happens when the AI is making these types of decisions and reporting?
Totally.
I think that's not a good thing.
Absolutely.
I'm a little depressed now, though, Mike, with what you just said, because, I've been getting into this relational AI, and what you just said kind of popped my reality. Are you telling me there's a real risk that chicks don't dig me because of my rock hard ab, as in singular? Mike, is that not true?
Yeah, we'll have to examine your log files with the fembot avatar that you've been chatting with. No, that's just a joke.
Yes.
But it does speak to the dangers of where all of this is going. You just mentioned, Courtney, the surveillance aspect of this. So what I see in a lot of younger people also, like even younger people that are in college or they're in MBA programs, I've heard that a lot of these younger students, they are using AI to replace the cognitive jobs that we had to do manually when we were in school. We had to write our own damn papers, for God's sake,
This is a huge problem. So a lot of people are talking about the financial schism that will occur, and that's a real concern, the whole UBI discussion, and that we can discuss that. But I'm actually really concerned about the cognitive schism. So what they've shown is that with all of this outsourcing, that a lot of executive function is declining. So short-term and midterm memory, because people feel like they don't need to memorize things anymore because they could just look it up.
Yeah.
And people take that for granted. However, what people don't realize is there's a reason why memory is a huge part of IQ. And it's not because it's just about rote memory and recall. That's not necessarily that useful. I mean, especially this day and age. But it's a layering tool. So part of memory is what enables things like pattern recognition. If you can't remember something, you're not going to start seeing the pattern and how it connects to other things. You're also not going to be able to integrate new data points. Once you have, when you start amassing more information, if you've lost all the other data points, you can't connect them. So this is I think this is a huge problem that we're going to see. And there's going to be the opposite end of the spectrum with people who don't outsource it, but leverage it, use it as a tool. They're not outsourcing their cognitive function. They're using it to assist and, enhance their abilities and, expedite and, make things more efficient. That's a very different situation. They're going to have a huge advantage over people who have just outsourced everything. I mean, it's like teaching. I'm really concerned about the kids, especially. It's like when we were growing up, we got calculators at a certain point, but we learned basic math. If you never learn basic math, the chances of being able to do like advanced applied math is very slim, right? Because you didn't learn the basics. You may go to a certain point, but there's going to be holes. Now, if you learn those and then you're given a calculator, then you can expedite and you could accomplish even more than you would have without it, even though you have the tools now to be able to do it without it. And I think it's a very similar thing. Now we're seeing these children who are not being taught very basic rudimentary skills, and they're just outsourcing all their cognition to AI, and they're learning how to train AI instead of learning how to think. And that's
really critical. I mean, AI tools are going to be the most helpful to those of us who actually learned it the old way, the hard way. But as we all pass away and this next generation comes in, if they ever lose their connection to AI, they will fail the CAPTCHA test. Like, what is 5 + 6? They're like, I don't know. I mean, they are they don't know how to write. They don't know how to research. They don't know how to do anything. Todd, back to you. Questions. I keep jumping in.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I want to ask something because I was kind of just fascinated by the sacred principle. And so and I'm going to ask you a tee-up question, right? If you could embed one sacred, non-negotiable principle into every heart awakening today, a moral or spiritual compass for resisting tyranny, what would it be?
When you say sacred principle, I'm not sure I know exactly what you mean.
Well, when I was doing my research on you, apparently at some point in time, you had mentioned a sacred principle. So sorry, I thought that would be an easy tee up for you. A non-negotiable principle that you've spoken about.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if you meant like something, like biblically speaking. But
No.
I would say for me, it would be for people to learn metaphysics. I think that's what needs to be reintroduced. So really, it's this. I know that I sound like broken record, and I know it sounds so simple, but when I talk about Game B and the Dark Enlightenment, so I did this Phoenix Conspiracy article.
Yeah.
I map out essentially the dialectic that I think is fomenting this technocracy.
Yeah.
I painted Peter Thiel as kind of the arch architect. I'm not saying there aren't puppet masters above him, but I'm very focused on the strings that we can see because those are the ones we can cut. So, the joke I make is he's only a billionaire. I'm sure there are trillionaires above him pulling strings. So I think that's how that works. But so when you look at this, the Dark Enlightenment and this Game B movement, and the Game B movement is very aligned with like the Fourth Industrial Revolution, a lot of the Klaus Schwab and Yuval Noah Harari kind of aphorisms. When you look at those two movements, the common thread, although one is I talk about like a left-hand path and right-hand path, not to be confused with left-hand path magic and right-hand path magic. Those are actually on the opposite side. But this is left-hand, right-hand, more politically speaking. They do use like occult archetypes. So typically the left-hand path uses the occult archetype of like the Divine Mother. Right? That's Gaia religion, Mother Nature. And they worship the creation, not the creator. And then you have the Dark Enlightenment, which is more aligned with the archetype of patriarchal, father, autocratic, authoritarian, disciplinarian. And so it's a very top-down type of structure. But the thing that they both have in common is that they're nominalist, philosophically speaking. They're constructivism. They are architecting the reality. And so there is no foundation under it. They've eroded that, hollowed that out. So people don't have an understanding of what it means to be human. I keep hearing people talk about, well, we just need better technology. That's, the ones we create. And I'm all for ingenuity, creativity. Like what you're doing with your AI, the Enoch is awesome. I want more people to get into that space. But if it's not coming from an understanding of what it means to be human, we're going to have the same problems repeated. It can't just be a voluntarist type of system where it's all based on contract law. That's what we have right now. The entire essence of humanity has been reduced to that. And that is not how the United States was constructed. And so this is not to knock other countries and people all over the world who are doing incredible, beautiful things. I've traveled, I've seen beautiful places, but there's nowhere else in the world that is codified in writing what it means to be human and what that means.
What does it mean to be human in your view? I mean, what would you?
Yeah, so I think really the Declaration of Independence, the notion that we, the really famous opening, that we were all created equal. Right. This means we are all equal in the eyes of God. Mm-hmm. And then they took this in the Constitution to mean that means we should all be equal under the law as well. But it's because we are equal under God that we have inalienable rights. They had written those to be the rights of life. Right. So life is sacred. Liberty. It is incumbent upon us to defend that. The pursuit of happiness. These are our inalienable rights. they are not given to us by the government. The whole purpose of the Constitution, downstream from the Declaration of Independence, was to protect those rights. However, it's because of our free will, it's an exercise in self-governance. The reason our founding fathers thought education was so important was not so we could learn a bunch of facts. It was so that we understood this foundation and what it means to be human so that we could effectively self-govern. And, I hear people say America 1.0 is done, and the Constitution has been trampled on, it's gone. However, I would implore them to understand and recognize it is not the job of a piece of paper. It was an exercise in self-governance, which means it's incumbent upon us. The First Amendment, and people always think of the First Amendment as being freedom of speech, which is true, but that is downstream from freedom of religion because they didn't want theocracy, right? They recognize that as humans, we have free will, so we have freedom of conscience, and downstream from that is freedom of speech. But then it was also to redress grievances, right? To peaceably assemble and redress grievances. How often do we ever redress grievances? We don't. We just let them. The Declaration of Independence, I mean, dozens of times, it talks about the usurpation of power. I mean, where are we at with that number now?
I love how you're relating this all back to natural law. I think that's really important because also, you talk about the importance of understanding the metaphysical nature of our reality. I often say to people that what you call supernatural is actually entirely natural.
Oh, great.
Right? So
that's great.
Most things are actually natural because our Creator created a cosmos with laws that humanity doesn't fully understand. There's a construct out there that has things like what Rupert Sheldrake calls morphic resonance, which is the way our consciousness can tap into patterns of behavior and patterns of knowledge of our ancestors. And that's why all inheritance is not entirely genetic. That's why the genetic code cannot describe the full structure and function of a human being or a spider for that matter, right? Because there's more than genetics at work, and science doesn't yet understand that. But I love what you're saying. How, for example, the fact that we have consciousness means that we own our own bodies, that we are a child of God, and as a result, that's why slavery is wrong. Not just because morally slavery is wrong. Slavery is wrong because no one else can own your own body. And if you own your own body, you should also own the product of your labor, which means taxation is theft. Also, and these are all downstream. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, in this Epstein article, I had these two camps of this Game B movement. And I mean, they do kind of merge, but the main thing I was trying to point out is one is really predicated on the theory of evolution, which is a theory. I mean, they take it as fact just because a lot of the scientific community has accepted it, but it's never been proven. At best, it's a hypothesis. And their entire premise is predicated on this theory of natural selection and evolution. And then the other camp subscribes to what I would call social eugenics. So they talk about spiritual evolution, conscious evolution, right? Barbara Marx Hubbard actually created the Center for Conscious Evolution, largely funded by the Rockefellers. And she has this whole premise. She talks about that we are the pale horse. We have to basically decide who lives and dies, that the selfish cannot evolve. But what does she mean by the selfish? She's talking about the individual. They want to create the noosphere. And in Game B, they call it collective intelligence. They have their own jargon. It's like their own language. Essentially, I'm working on a glossary for it. Essentially,
we need a translator for the transhumanists.
Yes, you do. I mean, all these different transhumanists, they have all these different terms.
Yeah.
They've really created their own language. The UN does it too, though. They'll use words that we think we know the definition, but they have a different meaning for it.
Yeah. But I want to make sure I ask you, and Todd, jump in at any moment, but let's just make sure that we cover today the global extermination of humanity as an effort, a globalist effort to replace humans with machines. Let's just make sure we get to that theme before the end. But Todd, back to you. I keep jumping in. I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to ask Brighteon.ai something.
Oh, okay. You're doing a real-time AI test. Let's do it.
Real time. I'm submitting because you triggered something in me, Courtney. And I just want to know, because I was thinking atheism is a gift from God. Now,
Yeah.
it sounds crazy, right? But why
No, absolutely.
is it a gift from God? Because
Because we
what
have
you
free will.
grounded it in, free will. Yeah, so I look, the first one, free will and divine gift. Boom.
Yeah.
Well,
On .ai.
what was the question? What was your prompt? I'm curious.
Why is atheism a gift from God?
And it said free will.
Free
It's
will.
first one, yeah. The number one, free will and divine gift. Second one, the challenge of faith. 3, the paradox of divine hiddenness. The role of doubt. Just beautiful. I
Wow.
mean, you're going to get that on our Lord and Savior Chat GPT.
Yeah. Well, the Old Testament, is all about questioning everything, right? Even questioning God. They encouraged them to question God himself and the entire system.
Job, I think it's 4th chapter, verse 7 said, God, comma, WTF, question mark, exclamation point.
I don't know that it worked quite like that, but yeah.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, so yeah, where do we go from here, Courtney? Like takeaways for our audience. What are some practical steps that they need to follow in order to protect themselves from this? And also, don't forget about my question about the extermination of humanity. Do you believe that that's one of the goals, or what do you think?
I do. I think that whether they realize it or not, that's where it's headed. It's headed towards a post-human future. You had mentioned how transgenderism was a gateway, and I think it absolutely was. I remember, I think I said this in my very first episode. I said that, not that I don't think what they're doing to the children isn't terrible. Of course I do. But I said that's not the goal. The goal is transhumanism. They want to normalize this idea that reality doesn't matter. We can construct whatever we want, and that we can just use technology and machines in order to make whatever we want to be. And to the term Nick Land uses, hyperstition, right? That whatever we think we can manifest into reality. And that's mentalism. That's literally the first principle of Hermeticism, right? Is this a mentalism? And I don't believe I don't think that's realistic. But I think it is where they're headed. And if it's not put in check, the potential is definitely there. This idea of merging the synthetic biology, which they're doing tons of conferences. They do this every year, literally called Synthetic Biology Conference. But they have many of them. They've got a whole field of study all across the world where they're grooming people in, essentially biodigital convergence is what it is. It's like the Internet of Nanobio things, the Internet of Behaviors. We have a whole field and a whole generation of people who are being trained in this field. And you can say it's theoretical and it's just research, but why do you have so many fields of study and so
they
much
intend to apply
resources?
it. Yeah. And
right, you would think.
What's become apparent to me, you mentioned manifestation. So like anything that can be used for good or bad. Like I love the idea that I can take an idea in my head and I can have AI write the code and more quickly develop tools that I use for humanity, right? But that can also be used by someone to try to manifest like the CRISPR gene alteration sequence, for a bioweapon or some, they can manifest evil more quickly with it, of course, or destructive things. But then in the physical world, right? So when you have AI robots, soon you'll be able to describe your project in the 3D world. Like I want to build a igloo or whatever. And you just tell the robot, go do that, go get that done. Now you're talking about, what's that video game, Todd, where like kids run around and they build with blocks and they build worlds? What's that called? It's a very famous.
Legos?
Huh?
Legos. I'm the wrong guy to ask about.
Minecraft. My producer was talking Minecraft, which should be called Mindcraft, because you're going to have that in the real world now. You're going to tell your robot, like, go do this, go dig that hole, go build this. And again, that can be used for good, like grow some food, grow some tomatoes, or obviously bad things. Go, hijack this car or whatever. So, Courtney, I'm curious about that because the manifestation is going to happen. The manifestation tools are going to happen. That could be dangerous for like mentally ill people who seem to be very common in society.
Yeah, it could be very, very dangerous. I think it's it's. I'm not saying like we should again ban technology. I don't think that's the answer. But I think that we need to have some real guardrails against what is being used, who's programming it, and what's being forced and how centralized it is. I think all of those things. So my concern where a lot of these people are going is there are people, like the Game Bee movement, which is a big, broad tent, right? But some of these people have there's a document. It's called First Principles, First Values of Evolving Perennialism, 42 Propositions on Cosmoerotic Humanism. And then it goes on, but it was written by David Temple, which is the pseudonym for Kenneth Wilber, Zach Stein, and Mark Gaffney.
Oh, really?
I find this kind of funny because they said they came up with the pseudonym because they didn't want any ego involved. And I'm like, they've got a whole section on anthro-ontology, which is like literally redefining what it means to be human. I'm like, there's nothing hubristic about that at all. Yeah, you kept those egos in check there. But they understand that they're essentially inverting. I would say it's a Gnostic framework. They're
Right.
inverting reality, but they talk about the threat of techno-feudalism. They talk about the threat of like AI going off the rail. But I think, and this is when people point out accurate diagnostics for the problem, it's very enticing for the masses. Like, oh yeah, they're calling out the problem. They must be my hero. I would caution people, they're not your heroes. That's idolatry, right? We're not going to worship them, right? We still have free will and we can take some agency, and they may have some correct diagnosis for the problem. However, I think what they're doing is they're steering towards, well, we're going to have to raise the AI. And I actually have some evidence for this. They talk about how we have to parent the AGI so that we can co-evolve. I saw the movie Megan 2.0. And they actually ended it with this. And I turned to my husband and I said, this is Game B. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they just ended with that. But what I found is there is a global constitution they are working on. And it is called the Participatory Framework for Global AGI. And people like Ben Goertzel, who was, Handsome Robotics, Sophia. He was also involved with the UN and the World Economic Forum doing AGI for good, right? The ethics, the social ethics, essentially
Right.
like a Fabian social ethic framework for
Right.
AI. And then there are a couple of other people who are involved in this. Some are members of Club of Rome. One of them is a Game Bee person. Her, she talks about this. This is the post-Molochian system. So the words sound great, except that you read the end of this document towards the end, and they talk about how we might have to, as humans, be subordinate to this AI because of their information processing capacity. They're going to be better stewards of the planet than we are, of course. They subscribe to Gaia religion, and so therefore we are going to have to be subordinate to them because they have better ethics than we do. And that is incredibly concerning to me.
100%. I'm really glad you brought that up. And I've mentioned before that you think about all the training that's going into AI, it's based on human cognition and human writing and human conclusions and human behavior.
Yeah.
Well, what are we teaching AI? We're teaching AI that humans have no value. When we start wars, when we have colonization, when one nation declares another nation to be subhuman and bombs that nation into oblivion and steals their land and whatever, all the wars throughout history, all the, the Holodomor in Ukraine in the 1930s, the mass starvation, the famine, AI is learning. Yeah, abortion, exactly. Abortion, 100%. So what AI is going to learn from this is, hey, I can kill humans when it's convenient because that's what humans do.
Yeah. So my, the theory behind, and we can save that conversation for another day, but the theory was that the doctor had read the titer incorrectly. Had he read it as being 121, my mom would have actually had an abortion. Supposedly it was because he was dyslexic. My parents actually sued. So yeah, because they said the alternative would have been to abort me. So that is a topic it's very personal.
Yeah. Well, and that,
I'm very grateful to be here.
Well, we're very grateful that you are here to join us as well. But you're exactly right. I mean, the celebration of abortion, it shows the anti-human side of people. And again, my fear in all of this is that these are the influences that are training AI. And the only guardrails that I'm seeing put on AI are guardrails to prevent AI from telling the truth about vaccines or chemotherapy or government corruption or the truth about 9/11 or whatever else. Those are the only guardrails they're putting on it, but everything else is fair game. Yeah, go ahead, self-program, reinforced recursive reasoning feedback loops until you become super intelligent. And then what? Then we're all dead. I mean.
Yeah. Well, I'm even more concerned about really what the opt-in tyranny. So I think that right now people are so excited with the novelty and people are very drawn in by a lot of the buzzwords. So, I talked about like network states. Well, you think you can opt into your network state, and even if it's below the Dunbar number and, you limit your bureaucracy and it's just a big happy family, right? Let's just take, for example, if we had like a vegan network state and a carnivore network state, and you're a member of this vegan network state, do you think you don't need some sort of digital ID to enter? Do you think you don't need some sort of a digital currency that couldn't be programmed and surveilled and
soy
controlled?
bucks?
And maybe, yeah, right. And then what happens if you go out to dinner in the real world and you have a steak? Are you going to be kicked out of your
Yes.
network state? What are the ramifications of that? So there's tyranny even in your, even your chosen opt-in network. But it's just like people who think that they're signing up for whatever medical. Right now they're pushing the wearables, right? Because Maha is really about MABA, and he said that explicitly.
Wait, make America what?
Biotech accelerate.
Oh,
I can't believe
biotech.
you used the term biotech accelerate. I can't believe you used the term accelerate, like
insane.
accelerationism.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, he got a lot of
Insane.
pushback on that from a lot of people, including me. And by the way, Todd, your mic is muted, I think, because I didn't hear you laugh at my joke.
Oh, it was muted because I coughed, and then I didn't laugh. It was funny.
I saw you laugh, but of course, our guests can read your lips, even if you're muted, so you're totally fine.
This is true.
Yeah. Anyway, Courtney, go ahead.
I don't know how much pushback there was on it, and I don't know how many people actually caught it. But the fact that he used not just biotech, but biotech accelerate, he actually put the term accelerationism in there, was very revealing to me. And then, of course, shortly afterwards, he makes this big push for the wearables, which is all about the Internet of Wearables, which is tied to the Internet of Things, tied to the Internet of Everything, which is where things are going. But people opt into this sort of thing because they're like, oh, and how is Maha selling it? They're selling it as you're taking ownership of your own health. I'm all for people doing that. And I think that these wearables actually can have some value. I mean, people can have some data that they can use to improve their own lifestyle choices and, make some changes. And that can be great. But not when all that data is being fed back into a system. Right. And when that could become part of some like dystopian Black Mirror episode where we're being mined for cryptocurrency. I know I sound like crazy Looney Tunes, but that technology's there. It
not
exists.
At all, but I want to invent swearables, which is a device that you wear that yells at you, put down the ice cream tub, bitch, and like something like that. I think that's the best thing ever, swearables. But it has to be local so it doesn't report your ice cream violation to the food police,
Yeah. Yes, that's important.
Yeah. Okay. So we're up on time here today, believe it or not. I mean, Courtney, I feel like we've only scratched the surface of your knowledge base. There's so much more we can do, but I want to give out your website here and let's just show that on my screen again. Here is CourtneyTurner.com, and Courtney is spelled Courtenay. So CourtenayTurner.com phonetically. And Courtney, what do you have coming up on your site or event-wise or anything that you want to sort of plug for our audience today?
So we have the Technocracy Roundtables. We're doing that once a month. So the next one is the 22nd, and I believe that's 5:00 Eastern time. So we'll be doing that when we're doing those once a month. That's with Aaron Day, who's been here, I
Yes.
hear, and Craig Winkelwicks and Patrick Wood. And Patrick Wood and I also hosted this Omnivore Symposium, so definitely check that out. I think that's some of the most important information being put out there currently.
That's great.
I'm also
we're big fans of Patrick Wood also.
He's wonderful. He and I are writing a book right now, so we're hoping that's we're getting close. We're getting very close. So I'll keep you posted on that. And then I'm also in the middle of a book. I put the preview out on my Substack, which I do encourage people to check out my Substack.
What
I
is your
put a
Substack?
preview.
Is it just your name.substack.com?
It is. Yep.
Oh, okay.
And I put a preview of my upcoming book. It's on Hegelian dialectics, and it's called
I like that.
Hegel's Dialectic, a Gnostic Jacob's Ladder, and a Machinery of Control.
Nice.
Oh, so that would be Hegels, bagels, and finagles, I think is what that could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one last question. This show is dedicated to helping people decentralize their lives and escaping centralized control so that we don't enter a digital cage. How do we use our free will agency, to use your words, to reclaim and maintain autonomy?
So
What are some strategies? Give me a 3.
I'll give you 3. Okay, so the first I would
He's
talk
querying you like you're a language model. Did you notice that?
I know.
He's getting into the prompting habit. He's prompting you like a language. No, I'm sorry, Todd. Yeah.
You trained me, Mike.
He's using AI prompts. It's
He's
the
using
Courtney
AI
chat
prompts
bot.
on you. Yes.
I'm the Courtney bot. Yeah. So I would say I often, start with parents, because I think the children are like some of the biggest victims of all of this right now.
Yes.
So firstly, I would tell parents, whether if you can homeschool, I think that's great. Maybe do pods or get them out of that system. Fight like crazy against these vouchers and this school choice initiative. Because that is really all about creating global citizens, putting every child into a computer, and capturing the homeschoolers too. So people think right now the homeschoolers are free. They are not. That is what the school choice agenda is all about. Charlotte Iserbyt blew the whistle on this back in the 80s. She worked under the Reagan administration, and she blew the whistle on the BEST project, which was all of this ed tech that is currently being utilized to advance things like social emotional learning, which is really just data mining the children and then programming them through cybernetic feedback loops. So that's one of the first things I would say. I would say teach your children, if you're religious, then certainly the Bible teaches about free will and teaches, the foundational metaphysics of where free will is derived. So, you do that if that speaks to you. If it doesn't, teach them things like Aristotle and Aquinas, who were really instrumental in our founding documents and, in codifying that Judeo-Christian metaphysics. So you don't have to be biblically oriented. You don't have to be a believer, but you are subscribing to that metaphysics. That's what our country is predicated on. That's what it's founded upon. You have the free will to think whatever you want in the comfort of your own home and to operate however you wish, because that's your free will. However, you have to abide by the laws that are built upon that foundation of the Judeo-Christian metaphysics. So teach your children that so they understand that, because they'll understand what it means to be human and why they have the free agency and why they should fight against tyranny and technocracy. And when they can say no, and they have every right to say no. And then there's some like small, very concrete things that I think people should do. Like I would say, for parents, again, do not give your children like AI plushie dolls. I wrote a whole article on that. Tell your school or if you're homeschooling, no AI under 6th grade. I think there's no reason children need to be using AI other than to train them and then to be programmed by them. So, do that. Get together with your local district, your school boards, get it out of the schools. Like that's something very tangible you can do. I would say things like if you can be resourceful in any way, whether that's farming your own food or, building your local communities. I think that's something I very much encourage people to do. If you are a farmer, I would advocate for getting the climate smart commodity projects out of your area. At the most local level. I mean, if you have some sort of power in the federal or even state level politics, I'm not dissuading you, but I think we have the most impact at the smallest region, right? So we should need to seize the power there, and hopefully that will have a ripple effect and trickle up, rather than trying to operate on these huge, very corrupt infrastructures. So
that was excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, wow. Courtney, we would love to have you back. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And obviously you've got a wealth of information to share with people. Let me just give out your website one more time. Courtney Turner. .com, the Omni War, and you're working with Tom Woods. You've got content, you've got podcasts, you've got roundtables, lots of good stuff. So we look forward to speaking with you again. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right, so
Thank
folks,
you.
stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break with the after party discussion. So stay tuned. Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralizedtv, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on decentralized.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode before it gets published. On Decentralized.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at Decentralized.tv. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the after party. We should have some like an applause machine in the background or something.
Right.
But if I start clapping, my dog will leap up here. As you know, he did that to you.
Yes.
So, well, Todd, what's your reaction to our guest today?
Well, I referenced it in the interview, but just researching her, I knew it was going to be just kind of like a fire hose of information. It was kind of hard to take all of this massive amount of issues, the topics that she covers, and be able to bring it into something that would be something appropriate for decentralized TV, because there's just so much. And she didn't disappoint, Mike. It's amazing. And then, well, you're the same way. And those viewers out there, look at me. You feel me. I know you feel me, because I do lots of consultations with those of you who are like me, that just our jaws drop at the intellect of Mike and many of our guests. And Courtney Turner is yet another one that is just like unconscious competence when she starts speaking about things. So I really, really appreciate it. I learned a lot, Mike, and so much more to learn. So I think she'll be a great return guest.
Oh, I think so too. And, the thing is, I didn't really know about her work until just a few weeks ago. And it's like, how did we not know about her work before?
I don't know, Mike. I really don't know. It's just amazing. CourtneyTurner.com. Courtenatur.
N-A-Y.
I'm sorry.
Don't forget the full nay.
A-Y, yes. Courtenay Turner.
Courtenay Turner.
Yeah, and go there, and then you'll see what I saw when I was researching and stuff. And there's just so many rabbit holes that you can go down, even through her site, just to learn.
Oh, yeah.
So fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we will definitely have her back. And, it's great also to have more women on the show, because this show tends to be kind of a little male heavy. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look in the rear view mirror, it's pretty male heavy.
It is male heavy. And I think it's because men tend to be more represented in issues like cryptocurrency. Every cryptocurrency festival is like a man fest, I guess. Not that I've been to.
But you know what I've realized,
what,
Mike, is, again, and I don't mean to fast forward, but I do so many consultations on a weekly event for these UNAs. And what I have found in many, many cases, the women bring their husbands to the table of listening to you.
Oh.
The women.
Oh, yeah.
And get them turned on to it. And then they start listening to you. And then, of course, they'll listen to us at some point in time. And it's just amazing. So you have... There are just so many women out there who are one of us, right? I call us the 2%ers. We have the ability to critically think. So there you go, and men out there who are married to those type of women are smart enough to say, happy wife, life. Yeah, I'll listen to Mike Adams too.
Well, look, we are so appreciative of all the people that support us and that share the information, and also that wrangle their spouses into this content arena, because honestly, look, this is the content that is extremely helpful for your life. Whether you learn about decentralizing your finances, and I mean, look, gold went over 4,000, silver went over $50. I mean, if you got gold and silver, you're doing great right now. But also decentralizing your knowledge, your information, and we have this new tool which I've got a fun demo for you here, brightu.ai, and that's a free tool for decentralizing your knowledge base. And this show, I mean, it's all about decentralized medicine, decentralized food, like your food forest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only it's less than 2 years old, your food forest?
Just turned 2 in September.
Okay.
September 21st. And it is so huge now and robust. It's crazy. I just need the hurricanes to leave us alone this year.
Well, so far they have. I mean, we haven't had a bad hurricane yet.
Not yet. We haven't gotten into the season yet. Like last year, there was 2 in October, the end of October, that just slammed us. So if we can get through the next 3 weeks, I think we're going to be Gucci.
Well, here in Texas, we're having such a drought that we are praying for some kind of storm, but we don't want it to go through Florida first. So I'm okay if it goes around the panhandle, comes up through the Gulf, and then brings us the rain we need for all of our plants and all the cattle and horses and everything that are in Central Texas.
It's that bad, huh?
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
Right now, it's pretty bad. Yeah. But that's Texas. The easy life people, they get scared away after 1 year. they go back home wherever they came from.
Yeah.
So, it's tough on purpose, but that's a good thing. Okay.
Hey, speaking of food, I just want to share something with you because you have turned me on to avocados in a big way, because they're so healthy. And I would have never known before meeting you that bananas and avocados could be so good together. Right now, I am in this process of dedicated to losing some lbs. I have a personal goal. And I like boiled eggs. I like tuna salad. But so I was thinking about what's an alternative to mayonnaise. And I just thought, I wonder if you could just mix an avocado in there. It's creamy, right? And if that would do the job. And man, avocados make a great boiled egg salad sandwich, Mike.
This is why I say, like my smoothie here, of course, I'm drinking avocados every day, as you know. It's avocados and bananas, and it's whey protein, and it's some like turmeric and broccoli sprouts and other goodies.
Yep.
And it tastes delicious. Oh, and cacao. It's got chocolate. So it's like a chocolate milkshake.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, chocolate banana milkshake. And you can put peanut butter in it too, if you like that.
Yeah.
And that's super delicious. But yeah, avocados. And where I learned that was when I lived in Taiwan, because in Taiwan, they will blend avocado. See, in Chinese culture, avocados are used with sweet foods, whereas in Mexican and Latino culture, avocados are always salty foods, like guacamole.
Yes.
But in America, most Americans don't know that avocados are used in sweet recipes. And also, same thing is true with red beans. So in Asian culture, red beans are used to make a paste with sugar. It's a red bean paste that's used to fill pastries. And it's absolutely delicious.
Wow.
Yeah. You can have like a sweet red bean, croissant or donut or whatever. And yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. I was just going to leave one. I have one other note here. And then I tried for another meal, avocado mixed with tuna instead of mayonnaise, right?
Really?
Delicious.
Was it? I haven't tried that one.
It was delicious. It was great.
Good. Yeah.
I mean, because it just kind of tricks your senses, right?
Yeah.
Because what you're looking for is that creamy nature of mayonnaise.
It's got that.
Avocados, everybody, are a free food. You can't overeat those things. I mean, they're just really good for your body. They help with fat burn and everything. So ask Enoch, baby.
Yeah, no kidding. And speaking of Enoch, I was just asking this. Now, we just released Enoch 2.0.
Yep.
And it's completely free and it gives you instant answers. You've been using it. This is the first version of Enoch that's actually trained about UNAs.
Right.
Which is, what you talk about, unincorporated nonprofit associations. So, Todd, I asked it the following question.
Okay.
Tell me about the privacy and tax benefits of UNAs. Here's the answer. It just did this a few minutes ago while you were talking.
Okay.
Here it is. Show my screen. The UNAs offer several privacy and tax advantages that make them an attractive option for individuals. Here it is. Privacy advantages: anonymity, liability protection, privacy of internal operations, exemption from state reporting requirements since they're not registered with the state. They're not subject to state reporting. And then tax advantages. Oh, tax exempt status. Pass-through taxation, deductible contributions, exemption from state and local taxes. Got like that list right there.
Jeez.
Is incredibly.
What was the question you asked it?
Powerful. I was just asking it to give me some of the advantages of UNAs in terms of privacy, taxation, whatever else. But in other words, Enoch is trained on UNAs now.
And if that same question was asked in our Lord and Savior ChatGPT, it would not give that answer. Trust me, because I'll have people come to the consultations armed with their research, right? And then they'll want to, send me a wall of words saying that, I need you to kind of defend all of these. I'm like, no, you're asking the wrong questions.
Well, now you can do AI wars. You can just say, well, go to BrightU.
Go to brightu.ai.
Yeah.
No, that's great, Mike. And then the other thing is, you and I talked about this week, is because I've had so many consultations, I really know what the commonly asked questions are. And so I'm going to do my best to be able to write a thesis, if you will, on the power of these UNAs that are the answers that I provide during my consultations, and then be able to provide that to you that you can feed to the engine. But I will tell you that people are paying attention. We pretty much have broken the state of California Secretary of State.
Is that right?
It's like, they're about a week behind now than normal, just because they've had so many applications that have come in.
Wow.
People are getting it. It's been amazing.
So tell us about your website, though, where people can learn about it.
Sure. You can go to my575e.com, my575e.com. And I created that so that people could passively, for free, be able to go in and learn about it. And you go in, there's a little overview on the landing page, but if you hit Let's Go, then simply watch the 90-minute interview. Everybody gives it raves reviews. Many people before a consultation say, I watched it 3 times and stuff. But there's a lot of information in there, but there's a supporting PDF that talks about the 32 positive attributes of operating a UNA. And if you have any questions then after that, or you just want to talk about your own specific operating reality, then I make it real easy right under the video. Scroll down a bit to just book a private consultation with me. And frankly, that's what most people do that are really serious about this. Why? I charge $150 for it, but people know, it says it right there on the site. If you move forward with the UNA, you get it back. You just take it off of the investment. So the only reason why I charge anything is because, Mike, as you know, when I didn't, people didn't show up. Literally 7 out of 10 people don't show up when you do something for free. People don't respect free. I don't get it. But the 150 cured that. But I want to give it back to you, and I do. I do many times a week with people moving forward with these UNAs. So that's what I encourage, Mike. And then if people want to move forward with the UNA, then they scroll down a little further and boom, you can either get an already established UNA, or my suggestion, strong suggestion, is you spend the 500 additional bucks to get a custom name so that you can name it what you want to. And I always love building in a little bit of a virtue signal. If you take your initials or something near and dear to your heart and then add the word foundation, it just makes it easier to speak to third parties, whether it's opening up a bank account, a brokerage account, a vaulted storage account for gold, precious metals, or crypto exchange account. You're able to say, hey, we recently established a foundation and I'd like to open up an account with you. Could I get the proper paperwork? And then you don't have to explain what an unincorporated nonprofit association is.
Right. Just use the word foundation in the name. Just makes it so much easier.
So much easier.
And I want to mention too, because gold and silver are now all-time highs, just skyrocketing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they bounce around, some days they're up, some days they're down, but the overall trend is just skyrocketing.
Yeah.
For people need to understand that if they have gold and silver that's under their own personal name, and then one day they want to sell that, that's a taxable event if it's under your name. And it's going to be a lot of taxes because of the gain. But those taxes are theft because, gold and silver themselves haven't really gained value. It's just the dollar's dropping in value. But the IRS makes you report it as a gain, and then they confiscate some of the gain, which wasn't even really a gain. So you lose in that scenario. But if you put gold and silver under a UNA, then it's a whole different ballgame. You don't own it.
You don't own it. The UNA does. I don't know how the UNA owns it. One day I'll ask God, but that's the case law, is the UNA owns it, but you control it.
Nelson Rockefeller.
Yeah, Nelson Rockefeller coined the phrase "own nothing, control everything," and these type entities were what he was talking about.
Right, and so let me just ask you a question. Could I set up a UNA and then fund it and then have the UNA buy gold and then have the gold sitting right here on my desk, but it's owned by the UNA and not me?
I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I've been doing it for almost 6 years, Mike. I got my UNA. I opened up my bank account with its EIN number. And then at the time, and I still use them, there's an app called AppMex, and it allows you to be able to set up your UNA and its EIN number, an account with them to where directly from the UNA checking account, they'll just tap that. I'll tell them I'll buy what I want, and that's my method of payment. And boom, they discreetly deliver it to my home. It was all from the UNA. It's owned by the UNA, but I have full self-custody, Mike. It's beautiful.
I hope people realize how brilliant that is.
Yep.
Because there's so much counterparty risk in the system right now of like putting a bunch of money or valuables in somebody else's hands, like a bank that might fail, or treasuries that might go into default, or whatever. Like self-custody, like having it where you can touch it, is a very big deal.
Absolutely. And I'll have a lot of people say, because you have to open up a bank account, and I teach people, there's a 25-minute video on how to do that, and people can with their bank of preference, right? But I have established the easy button with one of the major banks, and I don't want to say anything, on air about which one, because it's such a wonderful, easy button. We have a call center team that has opened up, probably out of the almost 400 people I've helped acquire these, probably almost half of them have acquired their bank account through the easy button, where they just call this guy I know, and he opens them up over the phone. Within 40 minutes, you have your checking account.
Oh, wow. That's
huge.
No,
it's huge. It's great. And I've had people say, well, I don't want to set up a bank account with one of the big banks. And I'm like, why? Why? First of all, your bank account should be a turnstile. It shouldn't be where you keep your cash.
Right? For sure.
So it's just a tool. It's a turnstile to where then if you want to get gold, then you do what we just discussed, Mike, and you take self-custody. Or if you want to get it into private crypto, I teach people how to connect your UNA with the Kraken account, with a Kraken Pro account.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Or stock brokerage accounts. I have a stockbroker who I'm allowed to, I got my UNA connected, and now the UNA Biz Telegram group, it's a private group. That's where all the support happens, and that's where we give everybody the nuggets on what you do and how you do it, and just make it easy. I'm really big into easy buttons. I had a long conversation with Andy Scheckman last week, to where there's a lot of people who have a lot of gold who are having some of their repository companies that they're working with don't know about these, so they might get a little bit of resistance. So Mike, I sent him all of the information, and he's assessing everything. So my hope is that within this next week, Mike, with Miles Franklin, is going to be the easy button, where like with the bank that I recommend, all you have to do is call one of Mike's guys. He'll probably designate somebody, and boom, you send him the digital documents that you receive from us. You open up the account, and now you have your gold account where you can buy and sell gold there. You can, if you need a repository, you can. Storage. Yeah, go ahead.
I also want to connect you with the people that I've known for years who Andy Schechtman also knows, because it's a small world. But and this is also where you can get gold and silver if you want to buy it. Just go to metalswithmike.com. It forwards you to Battalion Metals. And this is what used to be called Treasure Island, but they launched this new online presence under Battalion Metals. And they have something called Battalion Bunker, which is a gold and silver storage option. And I am, a vault that's insured by Lloyd's of London, by the way. And I'm sure that they are going to be fine to work with UNAs.
Please connect me.
I will connect you.
Yeah, I would love to be able to give people multiple options, because that's what that Telegram group is all about.
That's perfect. And we love Andy Schechtman as well. And
yes,
because we'd like to give people more than one option. But Let me just say, even as the sponsor of this show, if you want gold and silver, just go to metalswithmike.com to get in touch with Battalion Metals.
Do they have an app to where?
I don't think they have an app yet, but they do have a discount code. Let me give that out. It's Ranger.
Okay,
it doesn't save you anything on the gold because it's already like rock bottom prices. It saves you. They waive the shipping insurance fee.
Oh, nice.
If you use discount code Ranger, and then they know the sale came from us, and they're a sponsor of the show. So incredibly good pricing, honest brokers, no bait and switch shenanigans. They have vaulting services where they can deliver it to you directly. Again, metalswithmike.com.
Beautiful.
But once you get your gold, or even frankly, I suggest people before you get it, go to Todd's website, my575e.com, get your UNA set up so that you purchase the metals through the UNA. That is absolutely the best way to do it.
And you know why? Is because when you sell those as the secretary of the organization, those proceeds come into your UNA, and because of how it's set up lawfully, these California established UNAs, CP 575Es, they come into the account, and it is considered unsettled funds, because in your articles of association, you will learn how to do good at a local level with everything that you're benefiting from, right?
Right.
So there's a whole strategy behind it that you'll learn in the private Telegram group, but those are considered unsettled funds. Matter of fact, we talked to John J. Singleton about it in our recent interview, Mike.
That's right.
It's very, very powerful because there are no capital gains associated with that. The other thing, people, please, when you get your UNA, you want to donate your home to the UNA. You control it, you live in it, you can pass it on to your kids, you can do all of that, but you are totally protected. If you ever got a personal lawsuit, they can't touch it. If you ever had to file personal bankruptcy, they can't touch it. If you get old and you ultimately have to have Medicaid, and they have that 5-year look back period, to where at that point in time, you're like, well, I putzed around and I didn't donate my home to it. So many people, Mike, are having their homes stolen from them by the IRS because they have someone in the family that goes into senior care and they're using Medicaid. And so they have this clawback program.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's horrible. And they're literally putting liens on people's homes, and everybody's losing their homes.
Yeah, they're taking people's homes. It's unbelievable. To feed the medical industrial complex. So there's so many reasons, folks. I mean, we're going to finish this discussion here, but there are so many reasons to get a UNA to hold your assets, and especially gold and silver, because Todd, if gold gets revalued, which is a possibility, to like $20,000 an ounce, then you're going to have so much gain in your gold that the minute you try to sell it, you're going to owe like 35% to the federal government.
Yeah, and people should know what happens is when you then do sell your gold, that you're still going to get a 1099 from the buyer, right? And when you do, if that goes to your Social Security number, then you
you're gonna
are
pay through the
obligated to
nose.
pay that tax.
Yep.
That if you're in California, 45% state and federal tax rate on that. However, when it goes into the UNA gets the 1099, and 1099s. What's the CP 575E? E for exempt from filing, like a 501c3, like a 508. It's exempt from filing. We don't file or self-report on these UNAs. What comes in is considered unsettled reserves, because you can then repurpose that in many, many different ways that will benefit.
For the purpose of the nonprofit association.
You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Which is great. We all want to do good in the world. We all want to pay it forward. But we want to have control. All of the people watching, if you've worked for all your assets, you want to have control over how you hand them out, or what you fund, or who you give to people in need, and not the government, because the government's going to take your money and they're going to use it to buy weapons, to send overseas, to bomb children, okay?
Yep.
Or whoever they're bombing today. Wouldn't you rather keep that money under your ability to control it without ownership?
Yes.
But you get to decide where it goes to. So it's a way to do more good in the world because you maintain control over your funds. So again, Todd's website on that, which I recommend, is my575e.com. Here it is, my575e.com. Okay.
Thank you, Mike. This was a nice deep dive, and I think we went to a lot of places I go to on the consultation. So thank you.
That should help answer a lot of questions. And then I just want to mention one more time, folks, go to brightu.ai. This is our new Enoch 2.0 AI engine. It's completely free. And it's, Todd, the number of prompts you can submit now is unlimited. There's just a time limit. I think you have to wait 30 seconds between each prompt. And that's it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
Everybody, please know this man right here, Mike Adams, has invested over $2 million.
It's true.
Of his own.
Company money.
Company money.
Yeah.
It's your company. Yeah, you have no investment.
I could have paid the money to myself for some reason, but it wouldn't be nearly as much fun as building this.
Yeah, that's right. But this is such a gift. I mean, such a gift to humanity. And I heard you say on your broadcast that, and it's the first time I heard you say, put a BHAG out there, big, hairy A goal, right?
Yeah.
Of wanting to educate 1 billion people. What was that?
That's my moonshot mission, I call it.
Okay.
Is I want to reach 1 billion people, which of course requires multiple languages. And that's what we're going to be rolling out next year. I want to reach 1 billion people with empowering information that can uplift their life and improve their liberty and freedom and happiness, abundance. Okay. And that it's actually very simple to do, because all you have to do is bring out the things that have been censored and hidden.
Right.
I mean, it's really that simple. And then do it in multiple languages, and get people to help you spread the word on it, because it's free, right? So free is a very compelling offer when it's the entire knowledge of the world at your fingertips at no cost. Like, who doesn't want to tell somebody about that? So that's what Enoch is. And by the way, Todd, if you scroll down, show my screen, please. If you scroll down from the homepage, go to brightu.ai, scroll down and click on this Enoch Wellness Coach. Did you know about this, Todd, the Wellness Coach?
I did. I heard about it today. Tell us about it. This is amazing, people.
Give me a health question that is appropriate for you. I mean, you were talking about avocados or whatever.
No, I'll give you a health question.
Okay, or a goal.
Provide me a natural remedy for stepping in a mound of ant bites or something thereof. Okay. I just want to know, how can I ease these ant bites I have, which is how I learned about, how to be able to get rid of them naturally too.
All right. Now, this wellness coach has a very friendly demeanor. So, yeah, it starts out and it says, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your fiery encounter with those little critters."
That's great.
Don't worry. We've got this. Here are some natural remedies. So then it gives you a baking soda paste, An oatmeal bath. That sounds fun. Oh boy. Okay. Apple cider vinegar, honey, aloe vera. So it also says shake off the ants gently if you can. Todd, have you shaken off the ants yet?
I shook them off, and I think I think I swore them off. I think I was working my swearable.
So it also has essential oils here. It recommends lavender to reduce itching and inflammation, and dilute it into a carrier oil like coconut oil, etc. Okay, so there's a really great question. And then it even gives you a happy heart here. Nature's got your back, Todd. Nature's got your back.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And then it links to our natural news articles, 8 home remedies for ant bites.
Now,
See?
what's unique about this, because it's a coach, is I could ask some follow-up questions, right?
True.
And you ask it, how long will it take for the itching to go away?
Okay. I'm going to say itching and inflammation to go away.
Right.
So I see what you're doing. You're helping me demonstrate the memory capabilities of this. Yeah. This does have a memory. So the answer says, okay, I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling uncomfortable due to the ant bites. See, it did remember. So let's address the itching. And don't worry, with some natural remedies and a little patience, you'll be back to your usual self in no time. So it talks about the cold compress and the aloe, and then the inflammation. It gives some things, including turmeric and certain essential oils.
Awesome. And I just want to say one last thing, Mike.
Yep.
Because it can remember, I believe, up to 3. So I want one last question, even though I asked it independently. Okay. At the end of this, I think it's appropriate to say, now, how should I go about getting rid of those ants in my food forest? How naturally getting rid of those ants in my food forest?
Okay. Let's see what it says. All right, here we go. Wow. Great answers.
Right.
I'm so glad you're looking to protect your food forest naturally, it says. See?
Oh, nice.
It's amazing how Mother Nature provides us with all sorts of solutions. Diatomaceous earth, vinegar, essential oils, peppermint, tea tree, and lemongrass oils are particularly effective against the fire ants. Cinnamon, a natural ant repellent. Pepper and chili powder. Yeah, I'm sure that works. Baking soda and powdered sugar. Ant-repelling plants. So like mint, basil, rosemary, thyme, and lavender. And then maintain a clean food forest. So clean up any fallen fruits or vegetables to keep your food forest tidy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's all good information.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mike, for creating that, Enoch.
Oh man, I use it myself now too. And everybody I know is using it now because it's just so handy. I mean, you can ask it, how do I make a medicinal extract from this rosemary herb that I grew in my garden? You can do things like that.
Yeah.
And it always tells you how great you are, by the way.
Keep at it, Todd. You keep eating all that fruit from your food forest, and that 1-pack will become a 6-pack.
Yeah, exactly. No, this, and I want people to know this is not just some avatar variant personality of ChatGPT or something like that, because I know people create those, but ChatGPT will never give you the information that our engine gives you, because we have this incredible curated data set that I've put together for the last 2 years. Todd is trained on over 10,000 books and millions of pages of content, including articles, transcripts, all of our interviews.
Yeah.
Frankly, every interview I've ever done and every podcast I've ever done is also included, plus a lot more. And this training is what allows it to be able to tell the truth about issues like vaccines or chemotherapy or natural remedies, natural cures. And the other mainstream engines will lecture to you. Oh, you can't talk about natural cancer cures. You need to go see a doctor. Our engine's like, oh yeah, there's tons of natural cures. Let me list them for you. It's a world of difference.
Phenomenal. Well, this is a gift to humanity. It really is. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. And one last thing. I don't know if you knew this, but this current rendition of Enoch that we're demonstrating, did you know that I wrote it myself with an AI engineer instead of using my engineering team?
I did. It's amazing. It's amazing that you used AI to create.
I use AI to write the code to give you access to AI that's uncensored.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm asking, let's say I enter in and I ask a bunch of personal questions. Now you have that stored on some database somewhere, right? So, no?
No. So everything that you enter as a prompt is anonymized by default because we don't know your name. We do have you logged in with your email address, but we don't store any questions or answers related to any email address. So everything is anonymized. We do have log files, for debugging purposes, but they're not tied to any email address. So we don't know who's asking this or that or anything. And so your privacy is completely protected. But importantly, you don't need to create an account to use it for free. There's no phone number. There's no ID. There's no name. You just need an email address to confirm that you got the email. You type in the code from the email, and that's it. Because we don't want to get like spammed or DDoSed by a bunch of bad faith actors that are trying to shut it down. So we rate limit it to 30 seconds between queries, and we require you to have a functioning email address, and that's it. That's literally it.
Beautiful. And poof, be gone. Your inquiries disappear. And then tell us about one day we're going to be able to operate this locally, right?
Oh, yeah. We have a standalone model that actually I have the files now. I'm just doing final testing. Assuming those all pass testing, we'll have a link on this website where you can download those models. They're GGUF files. You can run inference locally on most computer systems using software like LM Studio. And so you can run it all locally with no Ethernet or no internet connection. And obviously free, and no one can spy on you.
That's amazing. Now, because you are going to continually update Enoch, then what do you do if you have it running locally to be able to update it?
Oh, we'll have new downloads available every time we change it.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, because we have now a really great in-house model retraining method, which I should say was also, this whole thing was written by AI also.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's actually very difficult to get model training to work well locally because of problems with different versions of Python and NVIDIA CUDA cores and PyTorch language libraries combined with the hardware, which is the NVIDIA Blackwell class microprocessors. So to get those 4 or 5 things to work correctly, it's it's insanely impossible. It seems like it. Well, AI finally figured it out.
I'm telling you, BrightU.ai is what every homeschooler should use at the point in time that they start training their kids with AI.
You can ask it to teach you any subject you want. You can ask it to actually just give you a lecture about a topic or give you a test or a course on anything you want. It'll generate it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just game changing.
I'm proud to know you, Mike.
Hey, I'm happy to know you too, Todd, and I'm so happy that we can do this show together, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to demo the engine. I think that's really great. So look, we're going to wrap this up, folks, but a couple of things. If you missed any episodes of Decentralized TV, go to the website decentralized.tv and watch all the other episodes because they're also equally entertaining and educational. Secondly, if you want to use our Enoch engine, it's free. Just go to brighteon.ai or BrightU, the letter U, .ai. And actually, Todd, we're going to be using BrightU.ai as the more permanent location.
Oh, beautiful. I like that.
Yeah,
like that.
It's shorter and it's easy for people. And we're adding, I might as well just spill the beans here. We're adding an asset advisor coach.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. An asset advisor is the next coach that I'm actually going to build this weekend. So,
I like that.
Right. So without it, it's not going to be your financial advisor, but you can ask it for research questions about how do I protect my assets, or how do I improve privacy, or how do I legally reduce my tax burden? and it's going to give you some kick-ass answers. And now, Todd, it's trained on the UNAs.
Absolutely. That's so fantastic.
I wonder what it's going to think about.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So anyway, this is what's happening.
What a last 2+ years, Mike. Oh my goodness.
And much more yet to come.
Yet to come. Right.
All right. Well, thank you, Todd, for joining me today. It's been a great show. Another great show. They just keep getting better. And thank all of you for watching. Thank you for all your support, supporting our sponsors, shop with us at healthrangerstore.com, by the way. If you want ultra clean food, that also helps fund the program, because this program does not earn any money. It's just here as a public service. So support us so we can keep doing this for you, to bring you this information. And
by the way, I had a consultation with somebody that had acquired our Breaking the Chains series.
Yeah.
And they absolutely loved it and whatnot. And I know when we released that, it was kind of like the world was in a state of just kind of normalcy. But as things heat up, Mike, we might want to let everybody know that series exists again, because
that's
it's
a good
powerful.
point. If you go to brighteonuniversity.com, all spelled out, you'll be able to see and purchase that course if you want. You just scroll down. Here it is, Breaking the Chains, Decentralize Your Life. And you can see, if you want to pay $129, you can download the whole thing. It's very educational. It will save you a fortune, and it will help you be more free in everything that you do. You can see the full description of it right here. And it's many, many hours and interviews, 10 videos. Todd and I put it together by interviewing all these amazing people. So check out that program at brighteonuniversity.com. That's another way to support us.
And by the way, there's a nice good guy in there, which is if you're interested in the UNAs and you want to acquire them, there's a downloadable PDF there that has a hyperlink that will allow you, instead of $150 for the consultation, it's $25. So that kind of almost pays for the course.
That's true. Yeah. Really good point. Okay. Right now, folks, it's amazing how little it costs to be free.
Right. Amen.
Never before in human history have you had access to so much knowledge to support your liberty, your abundance at so little cost, or in the case of our AI engine, completely free. So use the tools that are available for you, and thank you for all your support. And thank you, Todd, for your time today. It's always fun.
You bet. And everybody, use your tools that God gave you, which is the free will, and that's the free will to act instead of passively listen and say, oh, I'll get to brightu.ai one day or whatever. No, dig in, just start doing, right? Do your own research and have fun with, I have a ball with Enoch.
Oh, I can't wait to find out what you do with Enoch, because I've just been testing it with like nutrition questions and so on, but you come up with really fun stuff. So let me know how it goes, Todd. And if you find anything that we can do better with Enoch, let me know, because you're talking to the architect right here.
Amen.
And I don't have to go talk to a team anymore to like fix something. I just fix it with a prompt.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's really amazing. All right. Thank you for watching today, folks. And again, check out all the other episodes at decentralized.tv. And of course, I'm Mike Adams with Todd Pittner. Thank you for watching today. God bless you all. Take care now.
Cheers.
Beet juice is a refreshing beverage that can help you stay energized. You can easily incorporate beet juice into your daily routine with Groovy Bee organic freeze-dried beet juice powder. Only at healthrangerstore.com.